Saturday, everybody. Um, so I'm here for the season finale of Life After Lockup, Love After Lockup, Vows and Vendettas, season 6, episode 20. So Diddy got sentenced yesterday. I know that's not what I just said, but he got sentenced yesterday um, to like 4 years and 2 months. The judge is not adding time served, but with these kinds of cases and for his kind of crimes, he only has to serve 85% of that. So he could be out as early 2028. That is not significant enough for me. But it doesn't surprise me. It doesn't. It is another showcase of how wealth can get you off, but it's also more how your victims matter. And your victims matter in the sense of how they show up and present in the world. Because if this was white women, he would have gotten all that time. This is significantly less than what the prosecutors asked for. Even the average of what even the legal experts said would have been 70 to 87 months. It's not even that. You know, of course, him using his family and the woman that he allegedly had killed in all his videos, like he didn't have multiple girlfriends in between them, like his main witness, Cassie, the star witness, and the other, Asian woman who's clearly got Stockholm syndrome. But nevertheless, the hell with Diddy. All right. So getting back to people getting back, staying in the same vein of people who have been in jail, been in trouble, and probably got more time than Diddy, sorry ass. Let's begin, shall we? Let's start with Letitia. Letitia, I am sorry. I don't care how ridiculous I think Keith is. I don't care how much of a mumble rapper, even though he's not a rapper, person he is. You will always lose with me because of the kind of human being you are. So she is still yelling and fighting with him at the restaurant. In many ways, kind of like by herself because he's letting her look crazy. And I'm sorry, I cringed when I saw them white people staring at them. I was just like, Letitia, girl, you could have argued with him over this shit in the car. Don't do that shit. I've told y'all a million times before. One thing you do not do with me is argue with me in public and get loud. Woo, child. No, 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 no. Never again. Their relationship, I mean, he left the restaurant and his aunt came to pick him up so quick. Granted, she was on her way there. And she picks him up and essentially speeds off. It was so quick. It was unbelievable to me. Their relationship is giving enmeshment. It's giving that. I can't prove it. I'm just saying. So basically, Letitia was mad. She wants a vow renewal or an actual ceremony. I wasn't sure which one she wanted. Or perhaps what she settled for. Like, I get it. I totally get having a jail wedding, having sacrifice for him. But this wasn't something they had talked about. She was saying that, like, he had promised her a wedding once he got out. And that's not what happened. According to him or her, that's not what happened. That seemed to be discussed at the table as the anniversary was coming up. Letitia, unlike Justine, you are in major, major debt and you have restitution to pay. You literally just got off in court by having to pay restitution and be on probation. The judge was very gracious to you. Okay? So you have things you have to consider. I know y'all celebrating and splurging a little bit by going out, but like, So you seem to really be in la la land about your finances. Clearly, we were in la la land about your finances according to the end of the episode. So his aunt did ask him why he didn't want a vow renewal. She was like, it doesn't have to be expensive. You just say everybody doesn't have to come. It's not like having like a wedding. And that's true. All right. So the producer asked him if he was still committed to the marriage. We didn't really get a straight answer. He was just like, it's hard being in a relationship. A relationship is a lot. Like, I get it that it's too much out of jail. But my thing is the relationship is hard, but Letitia is doing everything for you. You don't work. You clearly have designer clothes that I go to work every day, work hard, pay my rent in New York apartments, and you know how well New York landlords take care of apartments, and bust my ass, and you got real ass designer clothes on with no employment, sir. So I'm in the relationship being hard, like what? Like you not being able to talk to chicks all over and keep your place to live. Anyway, he was just like, it's just a lot. It's just a lot. Okay. It may be a lot out of jail because we've seen this before, but my thing with Letitia is, I'm sure y'all are like, so how are you even agreeing with Keith? It's not so much that I agree with Keith. I just don't have, I don't see it for Letitia. Because my thing is with her, you took on all of his problems and his kid, and he ain't got shit for you and yours. If you went to court, he said he didn't know, which meant no, he was not going to take care of your little daughter. Send his ass back home to his daddy, okay? Where he can be with his son and everything else. Letitia, also, after you stormed off because you told him, actually, he ended up storming off before you did. Now, that would have pissed me off. So I was no, you're going home with your wife. He got in a car with his auntie. Why, when he got home, I'm trying to figure out why Letitia's grown, big, 6 foot tall ass, okay, was laying in bed with her outside clothes on. That to me was gross. Like, I'm trying to figure out, you've been to court, which is a very public place, and then a restaurant, and you are laying in your comforter with clearly no shower, no change of clothes. That is unacceptable. There are going to be bugs in that bed. Anyway, she said, well, she was mad because he didn't want to say their vows together or whatever. She said, and you left me for Marsha. And I was like, something about that statement sounded weird because she knows that's his aunt, but it is giving enmeshment. But nevertheless, he was like, did you see the way you were acting? I was thinking to myself, I did. I would have left you. So he asked her to marry him again, I guess, without cursing at her, saying, will you fucking marry me? I would have never agreed to that goddamn proposal. Damn sure not to some motherfucker behind bars. Anyway, and it took her a split second to say yes. I told you she a bird. He surprises her with a vow renewal in the park. And he has her in the car with her face covered like she's being held hostage. She was like, I feel like I'm like part of the cartel. And I was like, yeah. Because in all those telenovelas, that's exactly what they do when they take somebody hostage. Don't think it's a nice scarf. It look better. Anyway, and they don't want her to have, basically her face is tied up like they don't want her to have no knowledge of how to get back and forth. Anyway, they have the ceremony. His father does the vows. I was like, okay. Is he licensed? Okay. The little girl is crying, and she's sweet, and I think, she was really emotional, much more emotional than the oldest girl. And I wish she wasn't crying so hard because this relationship is going to be a mess. It's going to be a mess. And she may be happy to see her mother happy. Or, when a kid's 6 or 7, it could also be a mix of emotions. Not like they asked her how she felt. I think there may have been a mix of emotions in the sense that, like, okay, now my mommy doesn't just belong to me. I don't know. I could be wrong, but whatever. So, updates. Letitia got arrested again while she was on probation for forgery and identity theft. Shortly after they ended filming. I knew when she had that Mercedes SUV, all these clothes, but remember she couldn't pay her housing payment and all the other stuff before. I was like, where does she work? She's still in trouble. Like, she don't have no online business. She don't have nothing. She was fronting. All right. So, Letitia, please just, where's that girl's father? Where's grandma? Just where's grandma? All right. Anyway, so, Letitia and Keith. Since we're talking about people that wanted weddings, Justine and Michael. So we pick up with Michael talking about how he used to make $60,000 in a week. I was like, God damn. If you could avoid just getting caught for a month, that would be life changing for me. I'm playing. Anyway, so he was like, he needed to borrow $1,000 just for his mom to cover the trip to New York. And I was like, oh, money is tight, tight. Got it. So he said he doesn't miss the stress of dealing with, I guess, like always looking over your shoulder, worried about the police. He said, like, but I do miss the money. And I can believe that. And I think that's an honest response. I don't think there's anybody that was in the drug game making any significant amount of money that like doesn't miss that money. Like, I mean, it's hard to make a living anyway. It's hard to make a living, change a job. And, you know, sometimes for your mental health, because I know I've done this before, switched a job and took a pay cut just because I just need whew, you know? So it's, you know, it's hard to make a living. And it's also hard once you know what it is to live life, like life, like popping bottles in the club, don't miss nothing, lights are on, rent, mortgages paid, you own car, like that has to be a fucking hard ass fall. I mean, that just has to be a hard fall. Anyway, so Michael tells Justine that they can't do the wedding. He just doesn't have it. He said we don't have the money, even the money she thought they had. So instead of like, I don't know what they said, like 30,000 or 50,000, I can't remember, but he was like, it's more like 15,000 that we have. Which ain't nothing, but you know, for a wedding and you know, you got 7 kids and college tuition and stuff coming up, and that is a priority. He was like, our businesses need our attention. There's stuff I have to fix with the cars or whatever. But he never told her about the finances prior. He did say he told Jay on his own, know about the barbershop. Good. The wedding isn't an investment, according to Michael, and I agree with that. I don't doubt the importance of the wedding. Like Justine, and certainly having a prison wedding, I get it. But it's not, you're giving money. When you're thinking about it like that, and you have 9 people in the family, right? And 7 kids to consider their overall health and ability to take care of themselves and one another. Like, it is money being thrown away. I'm not saying I don't see the point of a wedding. I think a wedding is a great thing. But if it means taking away from your children and your life, it's just one of those things. So, but I did think to myself, Justine, you should have never quit your good nursing job. I know you got 2 issues. I know you got a lot of kids, girl. But when Michael told her not to work and he wanted to be the one to, I don't ever trust that. Because men don't hold good on their word. And you would still be able to, like, sustain. And especially now that Michael's mom is out there all up in y'all's business and it ain't like she gonna leave. I mean, you do have support and help with the kids. But I personally wouldn't let that nursing license dry up even out there in Nevada. Because that's a good job. That's good work. Anyway, so then she was like, well, I already got the tickets for the show. So let's at least salvage that. I was like, you know what, Justine? I like your attitude toward a lot of stuff. I really do. Because you maintain your composure with a lot. But I think she already knew before that scene. That's why she wasn't so worked up. Michael had already told her, and I'm going to tell you on camera tomorrow, we go get souvenirs. Anyway, they really love each other, and that's sweet. We probably don't need anything but those kind of regular updates we get once in a while when the show goes off about them in the future. But, you know, best of luck. Let's see. Courtney and Will, let's make this quick. Courtney said the dude she rolled up with at the interview, she just met him last night. But her and Will screwed a couple of nights before that. So Will's feelings are hurt. I was like, this is so toxic. Apparently, after having sex, they got into an argument. Surprise! And she kicked him out because he got into it also with some of her housemates, so it must have been loud and disruptive. Courtney was like, well, when you went to a prison pen pal website, did you expect a healthy relationship? And I was like, damn. You're right, Courtney. Yes, you are right. But you've also tried to make him believe that somehow You were supposed to be different. Even in that same conversation, it's a lot of double speak and manipulation. Um, can somebody please explain to me why Will asked if Courtney cheated on him while they were dating? Seriously? Of course she did. With women, sexually, of course. And also, if you consider her entertaining sugar daddies, yes, that's also cheating, but you knew about it. Why are you sitting up there asking her questions you already knew the fucking answer to? And then trying to pretend like you're hurt. Okay, get them off our TV at that point, my computer, whatever. And she said she cheated on him because she was so mad at him after an argument. Courtney, please don't try to draw no one-to-one correlation between that. But that's that kind of crazy shit men give women all the time. But that doesn't make it right. Anyway, Will, you're stupid. Their scene went on too long. Moving on. Zaria and Troy, my problematic favorite. You know what? Zaria didn't even give us enough scenes to really hate her as much as I normally do. But I know she'll be back up to her old tricks and tips if they bring them back. So Troy's ghetto ass mama Karen walks into the house after he picks her up. Troy has the patience, and I want Troy to be great. I really do. All right, so Troy's ghetto ass mama walks into the house, and the first thing she says to Zaria is, "Look at that belly, girl, you big." Now, granted, she may not have meant it in a negative way. And it didn't necessarily sound negative. You know, she was like, "Yeah, I'm 6 months." But it's Karen, so we can't give her benefit of the doubt that she didn't mean to kind of take a jab at Zaria. Okay? Now, she could get a Zaria about her, in the words of Patriot Parks, oatmeal pie face or something like that. But when you having a baby and women can be sensitive, all right, so anyway, then she says to Zaria, "What you cooking? I'm hungry." See, that's that hood shit. You walk into somebody else's house and then you got all these demands and expectations. Because I can tell by the kind of chick she is, she don't keep no food in her house but Doritos and stuff. And somebody come over her house, she like, "Well, you should have ate before you came." She one of them. Yup. So, I know production had to tell y'all to invite her. Because clearly y'all weren't giving enough in those scenes. Don't nobody need to bring nobody downstate to tell them that their wife is pregnant. 6 months at that? I can totally understand why y'all kept that a secret from Karen. But I know production told y'all. And I hope that was worth y'all's mental health. Because I know she chipped in. So Zaria says it was important for them to invite Karen down to clear up stuff with his family. She's saying this in the confessional. And Karen interrupts and said they just want a babysitter. First of all, the way both of them laughed and said no, I said, "Karen, you can't be serious. You can't be. I wouldn't trust you with my dog, my gold fucking fish, nothing. Okay, my cotton candy, whatever. She cannot be trusted." I said, "Bitch, Zaria would leave her baby with you, Karen, quicker than Troy would, and you're his mother. And ain't either one of them wanting you around. Okay, so cut it out. We already know you ain't that kind of grandma." So Karen, and sure enough, she showed it. So Karen is outside talking to Troy. She's saying, "Damn, I ain't know Zaria had gotten that goddamn big." Cut it. Cut it. Because we can hurt your feelings too. All right, then she said, "Are you ready to have another baby?" He said, "Yeah." He's happy, but he has mixed feelings. He's sad because his father isn't here to meet his grandson. And she said, "Well, he's watching over your ass." But see, it's the way she talks. That's why I mean that ghetto shit. And then people are like, "I ain't mean it." No, you need an education and you need to, like, go away. And these people need to start being put on TV to normalize this stuff. But anyway, even as I watch it, I said, "Oh my gosh, where's the compassion?" She has none. Then she said what pisses her off, because she had to make this about her, right? Is Troy wants people to feel sorry for him. I was like, no, he doesn't. No, he doesn't. People do. But I don't think it's because he wants it. Sorry for him, and his father loved him. And he took care of you. I mean, she was like, you had to live with your aunt and other family, but I still, I still loved you. I said, "Bitch, you abandoned your child. You wasn't in another state or city. Like, stop playing with us." Anyway, then she said she practically raised her granddaughter. Her granddaughter who's like 7, maybe 8. Okay, her granddaughter. while he was in jail. He said, well, you're her grandmother. You don't get a prize for that. She said, yes, I do, because I don't have to do it. Girl, first of all, Karen, bye. You weren't raising your granddaughter. Okay, Yana is clearly raising little Troy, and you would go and see about her. Okay? Ain't no halfway decent mother letting you near their kid for any significant amount of time. If you didn't want to help, you didn't have to. Yana is not an absentee mother. She isn't. And nobody's going to give me that impression. That little girl is well adjusted. She's polite. Those things don't just happen if you're not training your kids. So cut it out. And we know she didn't learn that from you, Karen. Shut the hell up. Anyway, this low down dirty, you already know what I'm going to say, says to her son, stop telling people that I didn't love you. You always had your father and he always let me in your life. I said, man, what is wrong with you? Everything. I was like, you sound like absentee fathers who want to act like showing up every 5 years was plenty of parenting. And, you know, like, I mean, I did come around. What you talking about? Some people never come around. Like, Troy was like, look, I own my mistakes. I went to jail. And that, yeah. But that's the kind of conversation, and God rest his soul, that I think would have been more appropriate with you and your father. And I'm sure he had those while he was in jail. But I'm saying, I don't think he even owed that to Karen. All right? And he was like, you can't tell me how I feel. He was like, I have my side, you have your side, and he has his side. This gutter, low down, dirty, rattlesnake witch said, well, he ain't got no side because he ain't here no more. What kind of fucking wild ghetto shit is that? That, like, no compassion, just saying whatever wants to come out of your mouth just to hurt people, hurt people, hurt people. That shit is a reflection of how horrible you feel about yourself and how you feel inside. But once you start projecting that and aiming that when he was clearly in pain, I can't stand that ilk of people. Okay. And that's why I don't mess with hood rats and them street urchins. You can't bring them out of that. Nobody but the Lord. And I ain't no preacher. Anyway, so they never know when to stop. Like that mentality, they never know when to stop. And knowing that somebody's pain. Anyway, so then she cries in the confessional and tells them that I don't feel bad for anything. She on their porch. I don't feel bad for anything because I never did anything bad. I said, I can't. That was not worth bringing her down there for. So then she comes in the house and she decides she'll pick an argument with Zaria now that she's cut her son down to the white meat in his heart. She says Zaria needs to mind her business and doesn't need to come between her and her son. Zaria surprisingly takes this. And it's not like Karen's crazy, so Zaria calms down when she acts crazy. Because we saw them go at it. Especially when she was screaming in that room. Well, she was more screaming at Troy for his mother. But anyway, yeah, okay. All right, let's see. And then she said she should have gotten in Troy's face and made him call and talk to his mother. And she was like, you just told me to stay out of it. And I don't know if Zaria is trying to stay calm because she's pregnant. And honestly, I hope so, because I don't think you need to get worked up about that. First of all, Karen has to be on drugs. She has to be. Okay, there's no way she's not. I mean, even the way she nods off and then she's kind of like, and it's always, she's on something. And y'all were dumb for letting production talk y'all into bringing her down to that house. Ain't no amount of money worth that snatch from your piece. But then again, maybe it is for y'all. Karen, you have big nerve. And I hate this because I don't like Zaria. No, I don't think she's changed because she's pregnant. She'll be right back to doing what she does. But you have big nerve to be sitting in somebody's home, eating their food, yelling and cursing at Zaria while she's pregnant. Without provocation. Troy was sitting there, but he wasn't saying anything. And I could tell he was shutting down internally. Karen, you are making me give you the energy that I typically reserve for Zaria's dumb, crazy ass. But you getting all of it because you are the perpetrator here. Okay? So then we get Karen outside again talking to the camera. So I really don't trust the bitch. Zari talking about at her house on their porch, not too far from the glass, and you know they can probably hear her. But now that she's in their home, she's happy for him. Karen, we know you will turn around and dog that bitch out 20 minutes from now. So cut it out. She starts talking about how big the baby's private part is in the sonogram. That's not funny. That's not cute. That's weird. Straight no chaser. I'm not willing to joke about that. So anyway, in the confession, he gives Bo Zaria and his mother some flowers. I said, poor Troy. He just be trying to do the right thing. So the update we get with them is basically like, what happened to them? Oh, okay. According to WeTV, Zaria and Troy continue to try to mend their relationship with Karen. Mend means fix, and we all know that that is not true. You know that's not the case, but I'm very happy that baby Troy got to stay with Troy for the summer. I'm not sure what it is to be around Zaria, because I think somebody that hates your mama that much can't be trusted. But that's just me. All right. Who now? Should we move to? Okay, let's do JK and Brooke and Alex. Okay, let's do the thruples. The love triangle, should I say. All right, so we pick back up where he is telling Brooke he went to talk to Alex today, and she's screaming at him. My thing is, I really do believe he told her that in hopes that she would just break it off with him, because, you know, narcissists don't like to be the ones to break it off. They like to be able to throw that back in your face and all that kind of stuff. I'm not saying he's a narcissist. I'm not qualified to do that. But as an armchair psychologist, he once again demonstrates narcissistic personality traits and abusive ones as well. I'm not justifying anything Brooke has done, because I'm about to go in on her. At this point, now that your 30-year-old ass with 2 kids knows that JK went to see his ex-girlfriend, Brooke, what else do you need? Even if your heart is broken, what else do you need? It is not hard. I'm sorry. If there's anything I have learned from high school, through life, through graduate school, through life, is that white girls know how to find a man. They can do it. They are the masters at that. They are something to be studied when it comes to that. So why are you chasing around a Dusty? I don't get it. I actually don't freaking get it. Anyway, so the cop comes with a cowboy hat in a black uniform. The cowboy hat didn't even match the uniform. Okay. Because he said he heard some yelling and stuff. But the reality was he got a noise complaint from a neighbor. I'm presuming a neighbor, but I really think it was his stepdaddy that called. I think it was his stepfather. He came out just in time for the cops, didn't he? Anyway, so they assured the cops that they were good. The cop left, of course, because they're white. They were black. Somebody would end up shot. Anyway, I really do think stepdaddy called, but he wasn't wrong. So, Brooke, why are you so desperate for him? Is that what you want to prove? You can win? Meth Mouth JK? Tiger King JK? When she said, are you worried about whether Alex, why are you worried about whether Alex is pregnant or not? And she said, oh, because you think it's yours? So you obviously cheated on me. I said, bitch, we knew that. You knew that. You told us that as you was driving around aimlessly throughout Waco, Texas. Stop. Okay, now stop. The delusion has gone too far. She was like, well, when did this start? He said, when you were coming at me when I first got out of jail. So it's her fault. He cheated on her. See, this is both of them are crazy. Both of them are crazy. He brings nothing to the table. He only brings things to the floor, like himself in his mother's house. Okay? So you were running behind him before you knew what his dick felt like. Excuse my crass language. Brooke, JK doesn't have you acting a damn fool. You have you acting a damn fool. Okay? So miss me. All right? She smacks him across the face, and honestly, I think she did that because the cameras were there. Because don't think I forgot how JK, and I know I bring this up a lot, snatched them keys out the car while she was driving and put both of their lives in danger in the attempt to try to control what she was doing and where she took him. That never sat right with me. Okay? And he looks like the kind that puts hands on women. And Alex done already thrown you down to the pavement like a damn Cabbage Patch doll. Like, girl, take a hint. Like, I feel like she smacked him because she knew the cameras were there and they wouldn't let him hit her back. Um, Brooke, you don't take responsibility for anything, and that is just a terrible quality in any human being. She said she's not going to keep standing there explaining herself. I was like, you're not keep explaining yourself, but JK left the conversation first. He walks back in the house and say, a stupid bitch, and the mother, I will give her this, that regardless of how she feels about Brooke, Alex, all these other people, she will check him every time he uses degrading language for a woman. But there's something in him that got there from somewhere. Anyway, but I appreciate her checking that. And she said, look, she's going to send you back to the pen. You need to break it off. Then Brooke was just sitting in the car. Not in a Chick-fil-A parking lot or McDonald's parking lot or a gas station parking lot that would typically be well lit at night, but in front of his parents' house. You just sitting there. And we ain't see no interview in the car. Maybe they gave her one, but I was just like, girl, drive somewhere else and debrief, even if it's not that far. Did y'all notice Brooke got a new car? That ain't the same car she picked up JK in at the beginning of the season. She got a new car. Shout out to WeTV checks. Anyway, so she takes the boys to get ice cream. Okay? So that she can tell them that her and JK broke up. And she said another man had come in and made promises that they didn't keep to her and her sons. I was like, you keep your kids in your business too much. Because that in and out stuff will affect them. That's also the kind of men you build, like the JKs of the world, like the Keiths of the world, like what was their name? Tiny and whatever that man's name was that had all the cameras all over the house. That's how you build those kind of men, okay? And not being in their life and then bringing men in out and too much. I wasn't ready though. I have to be honest. I expect those boys to be more disappointed. I was not ready for the way they reacted. That little blonde boy had about a 4-second delay and was like, what? He looks just like Brooke, by the way. And his mannerisms are also a lot like hers. And her son said, well, he doesn't deserve you. And I said, good for them. Good for them. Because their response was not to blame their mother. It was to blame him. The little blonde one was like, you know, along with his brother, he doesn't deserve you. He was like, first of all, he's a drug addict. You are not. I said, well, tell us how you really feel. Y'all should have had these boys on camera before. I'm just playing. Y'all need to keep your kids off camera. So I was like, now, how do they know all of that? She was like, well, I never talked to them about JK in that way. Girl, you talk to them plenty about JK. But also, they're also old enough to be in the house with you when you're in the bedroom screaming at the phone about him. They've heard you call him that. That's how they know about it. So just because you don't do it in their face physically, because it wasn't like they had been around him any other time than the cookout. And in their mind, he's taking you away from them because that's who you're chasing around. Anyway, so she was like, are y'all upset about it? I mean, how does this make y'all feel? I was like, they just told you. One boy was like, I'm perfectly fine. And another was like, I didn't like him anyway. So I said, woo. Your sons, like I said, probably heard you screaming and crying about him, and that hurts them. That hurts them. Not to mention how much time you took away from your own sons, leaving them with their grandmother for JK. And you may not have discussed it directly with those kids, but the way you act, they hear everything. And this whole, they're getting older and they see things, not so much. I think it's because they're still young enough to where they haven't been trained to lie and act a certain kind of way for the sake of saving face. I actually think this might be as good as it gets in your life at that younger age when they're not hiding it. Her kids are smarter than her and him put together. Anyway, JK is fishing and said he misses the boys the most. Meanwhile, the boys said he never kept his promises. Like, what are you missing? We only saw you with these kids once, and then you and Brooke are fighting and going away for months. I'm like, so that's already a lie. Next. So she's moving to Galveston to start over. Galveston, Texas. I think she's moving there because she is clearly dating another inmate, and maybe they'll be getting out in Galveston. You are dating an inmate. Brooke, you are crazy. Twice over. You're dating somebody with a record. You like that toxicity. But also, you're in the car discussing whether it be for the cameras or not as y'all are traveling. I imagine your stuff was already there because that car was nice and clear and clean. She's in the car discussing JK all loud in front of the kids for WeTV's production, then gets a call from another inmate she's messing with in the car on speaker. So quit trying to tell us that you don't do this around your kids. You do. Brooke, you are the problem. Alex gave birth to another baby girl. JK awaits the paternity results and talks to several women. Yeah, we could have all predicted that. Nobody expects anything better from any of them. All right, last but not least, Kiana, Demadrick, and Joella. This was semi-underwhelming but conclusive, nevertheless. Joella texts Demadrick and tells him, look, if you want all this stuff to go away, make Kiana sit down with me, which I actually think is a very nice request. I mean, if it means charges going away. Joella was like, she shouldn't look down on me because I don't look down on others. Now, I have to be honest, and I will be. I do think Kiana thinks she's better than Joella. And that has been evident from her attitude throughout. I think she looks down on Joella when you have 3 kids with Demadrick. He has multiple baby mamas. He has 6 kids. But he wants me. He didn't choose you. Like that kind of shit. Because, she's struggling with her children, trying to make ends meet. And it's clear Kiana came from a different kind of life. Where she had a level of stability. Economically, emotionally, family-wise. And yes, I do think that she thinks she's better than Joella. And that's why she's so angry that Demadrick is still messing with her. You did that shit to her car. You did. And it's that kind of good girl mentality. I've never been in trouble before. Bitch, you did that. Okay? So then they're on their way to talking to Joella. And I'm going to tell you also what pisses me off about Kiana. And the way she kind of like looks down on her. Because for all the things you're looking down on her for, the man you're with created in her life. Her being forced to be a single mother without any serious support. Her having to do everything on her own while he was in jail. That's not a reflection of Joella. I think actually Joella's ability to be resilient in spite of is actually deeply admirable. And she is prettier than you. You know it. You know it. But you look down on her. Because you don't think she's supposed to have what you have. I can't stand that mentality. Now, does Joella need a new wig? Yes. But her kids come first. She got other stuff to worry about. And you messed up all her cosmetics and stuff. Anyway, I'm serious. I feel sorry for Joella. There's something sad about her. Not like sad as but like I can tell she just seems sad. And that seems like a lot on one person. Anyway. So, they're on their way to talk to Joella. Okay? Joella's ordering a drink. She says she's going to need something for this conversation. So, Kiana says she thinks it's a setup. And he was like, well, what do you think she has? Like, the Fed's waiting on you? And she was like, I mean, it could be. I was like, the Feds would not be waiting on you for damaging somebody's car with a Class B misdemeanor. Dummy. Yeah, you're right. You ain't never been in trouble, but bitch, get it together. Anyway, so they decide not to show up. She was waiting for like an hour or so. And that was fucked up. Because y'all could have just said y'all not coming. But it's because Kiana, I think, really, one, did not want to end up accidentally getting mad and admitting out loud that she did fuck that girl's car up. And also, she really doesn't want to hear Joella talk about how they've been messing around and getting embarrassed on camera. Because she knows it's true. And Joella done found some sense about herself when she was like, all of this is really over a man. Like, we both fighting. We both doing our thing. Like, she never took anything away from Kiana. She was like, I know Kiana works hard. I know she goes to school. I know she's taking care of her kids and being a good mom. But don't take that away from me either. Like, last episode. And I don't like that. I really don't. So the producer asked Kiana, basically what she sees in the future with Demadre. I wanted to go nothing, the abyss, the apocalypse, but she says happiness and owning homes, plural. I guess they want to be on their Melon Martell, circa 2019. Anyway, and says, black love is still there. I want people to know it gets tough, but it's still there. This is not black love in the way we admire it. Mm-mm. 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 Cut it out. All right, Joella shows up to Kiana's house and tries to talk to her because production told her where she was. And they actually do cut off the cameras and the microphones for them to actually talk. I was like, well, what the hell are we watching the show for? Anyway, and give them space. We don't really know what came of it in that sense, but Demadric says there's nothing he can do in the confessional. He said because they had their own beef. I said, yeah, their beef is rooted in you, asshole. You could stop messing with one or the other. Meanwhile, they asked Joella about, the ending, coming to the end. Joella has text from him that says, I'm not going to be a side chick. I ain't a side to nobody. Good for you. Good for you. And like I said, by 30, you want to, like, she's seeing it clearly. I know it'll take your heart sometime to mend. Don't get me wrong. Don't let nobody make you feel bad about still experiencing heartbreak, because that is totally normal. You can't, that will take time. But your choices and how you engage with it or disengage is up to you. And good for you, Joella. Joella and Demadric, according to the end of the episode, only communicate about co-parenting. And that says to me that Joella is winning, and it quite frankly has won. Because she's chosen herself, her kids, and moved on. And you can find somebody, both of y'all could find somebody else. Anyway, she dropped the charges and the case was dismissed. And I really think Joella probably did that for her own peace. It ain't even worth it to her. And that's also a sign that you're getting stronger and moving on, believe it or not. Because Kiana did that shit. Anyway, y'all, I honestly thought this was a good season. Thank y'all who hung out with me and stuff like that. And if there's any Max specials or something like that you want to bring to my attention, I don't have Netflix for a reason. I had it for many years, but anyway, just let me know in the comments if there's something, what y'all thought about the season and what y'all thought about this episode. All right, see y'all soon. Bye.